Do you struggle with handling feedback or criticism? Does it leave you second-guessing yourself, overthinking every word, or spiraling into self-doubt? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most of us were never actually taught how to handle criticism, especially not in a way that protects our confidence while still helping us grow. And here's the surprising part. The inability to receive feedback well could be quietly undermining your success. I know this because I've lived it. For a very long time, I took every piece of feedback personally. It felt like proof that I didn't belong or that I wasn't good enough. But what I've learned and what I'm going to share with you today changed everything for me. If you're new here, hi, I'm Elizabeth, a leading humanitarian, former United Nations Senior Advisor, and the author of the book, Human Skills, The Power to Connect, your human manual for navigating all human interactions, especially the tough ones. Over the past 20 years, I've led teams, advised world leaders, Fortune 500 CEOs, and navigated complex global environments where I've learned that how we receive feedback matters just as much as how we give it. In today's video, I'm sharing hard-earned lessons from my leadership journey, including the wisdom that took me nearly a decade to fully understand. How to receive feedback and criticism like a pro without shutting down, spiraling, or losing your sense of self-worth. By the end of this video, you walk away with 3 powerful mindset shifts that will help you stop fearing feedback and start using it as the fuel for your growth, both personally and professionally. But before we dive into these strategies, I want to set the stage with a bit of a personal context, something I've never publicly shared here before. When I left my village at age 11 to attend a British school, I was excited, but unprepared for what was to come. I was bullied for coming from an impoverished background. I felt like an outsider. That early pain planted a belief deep inside that any form of criticism meant that I wasn't good enough. And to my surprise, that belief followed me for years. Even as I rose into senior leadership roles, even as I earned respect professionally, feedback still felt like rejection, like proof that I didn't belong, that somehow I wasn't enough. Now, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not here to offer therapy, but in the process of writing my book, Human Skills, The Power to Connect, and through countless conversations with experts and leaders across industries, I've learned this. Many of us are carrying unexamined stories from our past, especially from childhood, that quietly shape how we respond to criticism. And if we don't take the time to look inward, to understand those stories, they end up running the show. That's where self-awareness comes in, a core human skill. It's what allows us to pause, reflect, and choose a different response. Without it, no amount of feedback framework or mindset shift would truly stick. So before I walk you through the 3 mindset shifts that changed my relationship with feedback, I want to say this. If feedback has ever felt personal, if it's ever shaken your confidence, know that with the right awareness and tools, you can grow beyond it. Let's start with mindset shift 1. Criticism isn't about your worth. It's about the work. Here's the truth. The moment someone says, "Can I give you some feedback?" most of us feel our stomachs drop. Even when it's said gently, even when it's coming from someone we trust, there's a part of us that tenses, preparing for impact. For the longest time, I couldn't hear critique, no matter how thoughtful, without hearing one thing: rejection. Not a suggestion, not a new perspective, just rejection. My brain would immediately jump to, "I failed, they're disappointed in me, I'm not good enough." What I now know and what I've seen play out again and again in my work with teams, leaders, and professionals is this. Most people aren't afraid of feedback. They're afraid of what it might mean about them. Because somewhere along the way, many of us have learned to link our performance to our worth. So when someone points out an area of improvement, it doesn't feel like input. It feels like a wound. a judgment, a confirmation of our deepest fear. I am not enough. But here's what I wish someone had told me sooner. Feedback is not a verdict. It's just information. It's a mirror, not a moral statement. It reflects what's working, what's not, and what could shift. Not whether you belong, whether you are talented, or whether you're a good person. That separation between who you are and what you produce is everything. When you build that internal boundary, you create emotional breathing room. You can hear feedback without folding under it. You can listen with presence, not panic. So the next time someone offers you input, here's a quick reframe to try. Before you react, take a breath and say to yourself, this is about the work, not about my worth. That one reminder creates space. And in that space, you stay steady, you stay grounded, you stay open. Mindset shift 2. Don't make your first reaction your final truth. Okay, let's talk about what happens in the first moment you receive feedback. Maybe it's in a performance review. Maybe it's from a colleague, a boss, or even a client. And suddenly your heart rate spikes, your stomach drops, your brain starts sprinting. They think I'm incompetent. This isn't fair. They don't even understand how hard I've been working. Sounds familiar? Here's what I want to say. That first emotional reaction is valid, but it's not the full picture. That's just your nervous system doing its job, trying to protect you. It's that old part of your brain that still sees criticism as danger, as a threat to belonging or safety. But here's the truth. You don't have to act from your first reaction. You can witness it and choose your response. That pause, even if it's just a breath, is where your power lies, because it gives your wiser, more grounded self a chance to step forward. When I was young in my career, I didn't have that pause. I would either shut down, get defensive, or start over-explaining myself to prove I was good enough. And every time I would walk away from those conversations feeling smaller, not stronger. But once I started practicing emotional awareness, one of the most foundational human skills, I began to notice that moment between stimulus and response. And the more I leaned into that pause, the more I could say, okay, this stings a little, but is there truth in it? What part of this can I learn from? So the next time you feel yourself getting hot, tense, or reactive when someone gives you feedback, try this. Pause, breathe, then ask yourself, is my reaction about what they said or what I'm making it to mean? That one shift will help you show up with more clarity, more calm, and more control. Mindset shift 3. Find value in the message even when the delivery is off. Let's face it, not all feedback is perfectly timed. Not all feedback is delivered with warmth. Sometimes it's clunky, sometimes it stings, and sometimes it's wrapped in a tone or words that feel, off. But here's the shift that changed everything for me. Even when feedback isn't well delivered, there's often value in what's being said. Not praise, not flattery, but insight. A perspective you may not have seen. A growth edge you weren't aware of. Or a blind spot you've been avoiding. Early in my leadership journey, I received feedback from a colleague that felt harsh. I remember walking away thinking that was unfair. But later that evening, I sat with it. I took a breath and I asked myself, okay, what might actually be useful in what they said here? And that's when I saw it. Sure, the delivery had been flawed, but the message, there was something in it, something I hadn't been willing to see. And that one shift helped me become more grounded, more effective in how I lead my team. And here's what I've learned. If we only accept feedback when it's served perfectly, we'll miss out on a lot of opportunities to grow. So instead of rejecting the entire message, try sifting. What part of this feels true? Is there something here I hadn't considered? Could this be an invitation to grow, not a reason to shrink? Here's a simple practice. Next time someone offers you feedback, especially if it stings, try this. Pause. Write down exactly what they said, not your reaction, just their words. Then step away. Come back to it a few hours later and ask, what's helpful here? Is there something I can learn from this? Even if it's just 1%. That tiny 1% might be the insight that shifts your next projects, deepens your relationships, and helps you show up more powerfully at work. Because feedback doesn't have to feel good to be good for you. So to sum up, let's take a moment to recap everything. You can learn to handle criticism with confidence, clarity, and emotional intelligence. It doesn't have to rattle your self-worth. It starts with these 3 mindset shifts. 1, criticism is about your work, not your worth. It doesn't define who you are. It simply reveals where you can evolve. 2, pause before reacting. Just because something stings doesn't mean it's meant to hurt you. That moment of space gives you power. 3, learn to filter, not absorb. Not all feedback is gold, but some of it is. Look for what's useful and let the rest pass. And here's the deeper truth I've learned over decades of leadership and human skills work. The more grounded you are in who you are, the less threatened you will feel by what others see. So if this resonated, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever received feedback that really stung but ended up helping you grow? Drop your story in the comments. Your experience might help someone else feel less alone. And if you want to go deeper into this work, check out my book, Human Skills, The Power to Connect. There are pages on how to navigate feedback, conflict, and the kind of tough conversations that build or break trust. If this video offered even a small shift in perspective, give it a like and hit subscribe for more tools to grow your confidence, your communication, and your relationships. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.